Hello Ghost Hunters, Tommy Terror here from the Ghost Bus Tour with another chilling ghostly tale from Edinburgh's dark haunting past. And today I've got a haunted pub. This is the Tolbooth Tavern. Let's have a wee look. So here it is, look at that. So this is near the bottom of the Royal Mile in the Canongate, and I've been wanting to do this one for a long time because it's a very haunted pub. Now today it's a cosy drinking den, the Tolbooth Tavern, but originally this was built in 1591 as the Canongate Toll Booth. In those days Edinburgh was a walled city with gates, and you had to pay a toll to get through the gates into Edinburgh. So you came here to the toll booth and you paid your toll. But it was also council chambers, it was where you paid your taxes, it was a courthouse, a police station, and it was a prison too. Now by 1820 the city walls were down and there was no further need to have a toll booth here, so it converted into a tavern, and it's been a pub for over 200 years, the Tolbooth Tavern. So I'll talk a wee bit about the prison side of things because there's some interesting history there. So mainly this was a prison for petty criminals, the likes of tax dodgers and thieves. But in the mid to late 1600s, you had some of the Covenanters held prisoner here. Now, Covenanters were Presbyterians. They stood up against the king to fight for their religion, and they were treated really brutally, many of them executed. The ones that were held here were either executed or deported to the Caribbean to serve hard labour. Before they were deported, the women would have their faces branded with an iron, and the men had their ears chopped off to mark them forever as traitors to the king, so they couldn't escape their past. So some of those people were kept here in the Tolbooth jail. Also under Oliver Cromwell, 1654, you had some of his enemies kept in here, but they didn't stay here for long because they managed to tie blankets together and climb out of the window and escape. There is a funny story of the jailer here, a man called James Park, who was so bad at his job, he let so many people escape from the prison, he was imprisoned here himself as punishment. So the jailer was locked up in his own jail. But let's have a look again at the building, because it's a wonderful building. And you can see the clock tower there. The clock was actually added in 1884, I believe. And across the street there you can see the archway, the toll booth wind. Now if you got close to that archway, you would see above it the initials of a man called Sir Lewis Bellenden, and he was the man that commissioned the building originally in 1591. Now it's with Bellenden that we start to get into the dark supernatural stuff. Now you have to remember 1591, when this place was built, was exactly the same time as King James VI was starting his witch trials. He was obsessed with witches. He thought witches were working with the devil to try and kill him, to sink his ships, all that kind of stuff. So this craze started up for witch hunting. There's even seashells embedded in the brickwork of the building here, which were to ward off witches and evil spirits. So a very supernatural time when this building went up. But back to Sir Lewis Bellenden. He got caught up in this craze for witch hunting, and he actually performed an exorcism here in this building. And it was quite a brutal ordeal. There was a man he suspected of being a warlock, of being possessed of the devil, so Bellenden did this exorcism on him here, and the exorcism was so frightening and terrifying, the warlock died in the middle of it. And his ghost is said to be trapped in the walls of the tavern, which may account for people hearing a low, demonic, rasping voice telling them to get out. But there are other hauntings connected with the Tolbooth Tavern. Some of them seem to be residual stuff, like noises, banging, probably energy from past events that's captured in the walls and replayed. And these include the sound of men arguing, the sound of children laughing and running around, the sound of ghostly footsteps climbing the stairs to the clock tower, things like that. But there's also definite intelligent haunting here. Spirits that communicate, that move things, that push things over, poltergeist activity. Now from what I understand, most of this seems to be centred towards the back part of the tavern. People feel an eerie presence there and they see things, shadowy figures. It mostly seems to be this shadowy figure who moves around the place and knocks over glasses. knocks pictures off the wall, throws books off shelves. There's quite a recent story of a woman who was having a drink here and she saw a book flying off a shelf and it landed on the floor at her feet, open at a page with her own family name on it. So that freaked her out. The ghosts of two men in old-fashioned military costume have been seen having a drink at the bar. So there's lots going on at the Tolbooth Tavern. It's a fascinating place, wonderful building. If you fancy a drink with the dead, pop in here. Now just watch out for shadowy men and flying books. This is Tommy Terror signing out. Thank you for listening.